Picture someone in their early 20s, perhaps yourself at that age. Not a lot of life experience. You bought a new car with an extended warranty, or so you thought. Car's less than a year old and the starter goes out. Great. It's just beyond the 12,000-mile manufacturer's warranty, but you're relieved because now you know the extended warranty is going to kick in. However, you quickly find out that somehow it got left out of the deal. Now they want you to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which is your entire salary. What are you going to do? How are you going to stand up for yourself? This is real-life negotiation. Something like this happens to people every single day, yet many people don't have the experience necessary to handle these everyday situations and get a bad deal because of it. Today in this session, you are going to learn 5 key strategies that will help you whether you're negotiating a multi-million-dollar deal, how to get your kids to do their homework, or where to meet for dinner. Negotiation is a word that has brought up fear, trembling, and trepidation for a large percentage of people. In fact, salarycom did a survey of over 2,000 people and found out that nearly half, almost 48%, indicated that they are always apprehensive about negotiation. Another 39% said that they sometimes felt that way. Only 13% said that they never get nervous about negotiation. The first time I heard the word negotiation, I had been in the military about 3 months. Now, the military is like any other organization with a hierarchy of authority. However, in the military, you can tell just how much authority someone has by the amount of stripes they have on their sleeve. As you can see in the picture, I have no stripes on my sleeve. No stripes equals no authority. I basically had to ask permission to breathe. The job I was assigned to do was called contract specialist. I handled everything to do with contracts: purchasing, follow-up, contracts administration, and much to my surprise, right from the beginning, negotiation. I was assigned a trainer, Sergeant Brenda Durden. She had 3 stripes to my none, which meant she had a lot of authority. She said, "It's pretty simple. We work in the follow-up section and we follow up on delinquent supply orders. Your job is to contact the vendors who are delinquent on their orders and negotiate new delivery dates." I have to negotiate? I didn't know how to negotiate. How was I supposed to learn how to do that? Isn't negotiation some big boardroom heavily haggling over a multi-million-dollar deal? The whole concept of negotiation seemed so foreign to me. Not only did I not know how to do it, I was afraid of it and wanted to avoid it. Have you ever wanted to avoid something that you didn't know how to do because you thought you couldn't learn it? Negotiation sounds, looks, and feels confrontational, and to many people it is, because you are basically disagreeing with somebody or challenging something that's been presented to you. However, in its simplest form, negotiation is basically making agreements. And when you make those agreements, you want to strive for your outcomes to create win-win results. What that means in the think like a negotiator world is you're going to give up something in the negotiation, and I'm going to give up something in the negotiation. But as long as at the end of the discussion we both feel satisfied with the agreement, that is a win-win result, and that is what you want to strive for in your outcomes. Where does negotiation start? It starts with what I call a negotiation situation, which is any situation you feel is unfair, unjust, or you simply want to challenge. It could be the car repair I mentioned earlier, maybe a landlord-tenant dispute, or even a major contract negotiation, to name a few. This is where most people stop in the negotiation process. They know there's something that they should challenge, yet they don't have the confidence to stand up and challenge it. Which brings us to our first negotiation strategy. In negotiation, you have to own your power. Own your what? Power. Owning your power means pushing through and challenging that situation, standing up against those things that you disagree with. I know somebody here is thinking, I don't know how to do that. How am I supposed to learn how to do that? We actually have to do negotiation to get good at it. And the best place I know to get low cost, low risk, high value negotiation training is at a yard sale, swap meet, or flea market. Now, for some of you, negotiation may be a way of life, and you already may feel confident with it. But for many of us, we don't feel comfortable negotiating. Can you see how a yard sale would be a great place to go get low-risk negotiation training? Yeah. Here's what you do. You go to a yard sale with a few dollars in your pocket. You find an item you want to purchase. When you find that item, you ask how much it is. And when they tell you, the next thing you have to consider is whether the price is or is not fair and reasonable, which brings us to our second strategy, fair and reasonable. Fair implies a proper balance of conflicting interests. I say conflict because it's two sides having a difference of opinion on the agreement. Reasonable means not extreme or excessive, so a fair and reasonable price is one that's balanced and somewhat moderate. In the yard sale situation, you may offer a price that you feel is more fair and reasonable. You may go back and forth for a while before you reach an agreement, but you are negotiating. You can do this. Now let's go a little bit deeper into fair and reasonable and talk about a landlord-tenant dispute. A college student out on her own for the first time. She rents a 500 square foot apartment, puts down an $800 security deposit, and moves in. A year later, the landlord decides he's going to raise the rent. She gives notice to move out. The landlord comes to the apartment and does a pre-move-out walkthrough inspection, looks around and says, give it a good cleaning. She invests in a company to do a deep move-out professional clean. Landlord comes back for the final inspection and says, well, I would have cleaned the baseboards a little better, but it looks good. Now, based on that information, how many of you, by a show of hands, think that you would have gotten some, if not all, of your deposit back? Pretty much everybody. Exactly what I would have thought. However, much to her surprise, she only got back $98 of the $800 deposit. That's right, the landlord kept $702. Is that fair and reasonable? Let's look at the landlord's deductions. Over half the deductions were for cleaning. Remember, she invested in somebody to do a deep move-out clean. $235 for 13 and a half hours of cleaning. Plus $100 to clean those blinds and $65 to clean that little piece of carpet. What did he use to clean it? A toothbrush? He also charged $150 for a repair he said was not accomplished, which was in a violation of California law where this happened. And he did not provide any receipts for any of the materials or supplies he used, which is also required by California law. We would be much more successful in our negotiation if we didn't take something like this as a take-it-or-leave-it final offer. In a negotiation mindset, you would consider this the first offer. And then you would think about your strategy and exactly what you want to get back out of it. A college student went away and did some research. She found she had a pretty good case if she wanted to take it to court. She decided she wanted to get $400 back. She did a letter outlining a rebuttal to each of the deductions in the landlord's letter. She indicated she would take him to court if she didn't hear back from him in 21 days, sent it certified, and waited for a response. 3 weeks later, the landlord contacted her and left her a voicemail. She didn't call back right away because she wanted to get prepared for the impending negotiation. However, there was no impending negotiation because apparently he got a little concerned she was going to take him to court when he didn't hear back from her and gave her the whole $702 deposit back. Please welcome that college student who's here with us today, my daughter, Marissa Fernandez. Marissa decided this was not fair and reasonable, and she was going to do something about it. And she did the underlying thread which goes through the foundation of negotiation, which is to ask for exactly what you want. In negotiation, you have to ask for what you want. You're not going to get what you don't ask for. So be sure and ask for exactly what you want. Now let's take a little step back in the negotiation process and look at what you need to do once you've considered something is not fair and reasonable. The next thing you have to do is prepare in advance. What does it say? The time to prepare for the negotiation is not when you are face-to-face having that conversation. You need to prepare in advance. Let's take a look at what Marissa did to prepare for the negotiation. Now, I know somebody here is thinking, daughter of the negotiation expert, obviously she's going to get a good deal. Not so much. I treated her just like I treat any of my clients. She consulted with me, yes, but she went away and did the research. She did the negotiation. She prepared the letters. She discussed it with the landlord. And you can too. You can take each of these strategies and apply them to your life personally and professionally and negotiate a better deal for yourself. You can do it. Let's look at what Marissa did. First thing she did, our first strategy, she owned her power. She decided it wasn't fair and reasonable, and she was going to do something about it. Then she went and consulted with experts in higher authority, researched some California landlord-tenant law, and verified the facts of what she could and could not discuss. Then she found out she had a good case to go to court and decided she was willing to go to court. And finally, what she's doing in a negotiation like this is calling the landlord on his stuff, standing up and challenging the situation. Like Alexander Graham Bell says, before anything else, preparation is the key to success. You have to prepare in advance. Now, our fourth strategy goes in line with the preparation. You have to consider this in your preparation process. Strategy number 4 is to look the part. Somebody may be thinking, what does that even mean, and why is it even important? Well, we have everything from social medias to selfies, so we're a highly visual society. And whether you're speaking on a stage, doing an in-person negotiation, or going for a job interview, what you wear speaks volumes before you even utter a word. It negotiates for you before you say anything. For example, I didn't always look this fabulous. Because for 23 years, I basically wore combat boots and camouflage. I thought being feminine out of uniform and professional was wearing floral prints. Now, I know floral prints look beautiful on pretty much everybody, but me. Sometimes in life, it's very important and necessary to get coaching from someone who has more knowledge about a topic than you do. I coach with people all the time on how to be great negotiators. But when I left the military, I had no clue how to look the part or that I even needed to. I invested in an image consultant who helped me with color choices, accessories, and styles that helped me transform into looking like this. And this. Look the part, even if you're not in person. You can own your power looking the part, even if you're just on the phone. Look the part. Finally, we come to one of the most powerful strategies in negotiation. Stop talking. Do you feel that uncomfortable silence? If you can get comfortable with the discomfort of silence, it is one of the most powerful and effective tools you can use in negotiation. If you really want to own your power, learn how to leverage the power of the pause. For example, let's take that car repair. That 22-year-old without a lot of life experience was me. And when I found out that not only did I not have an extended warranty, but that they wanted to charge me close to $500 for a rebuilt starter back in the early 80s, I was beside myself. I didn't make much more than that back then. Thankfully, I helped a boyfriend in high school rebuild car engines. I knew exactly where that starter went and what it took to drop one out and put a new one in and the approximate cost. I knew enough to know that I was getting a bad deal. I know you may find it hard to believe, but I was a little bit hot-headed back then. I was in the middle of the service department with the service manager loudly pleading my case, completely surrounded by customers. He quickly ushered me into the dealership manager's office where I again loudly pleaded my case and then just stopped talking. It's not like I said, hey, I'm going to use this great stop talking strategy and it's going to work. I basically ran out of things to yell about and stood there wide-eyed, breathing heavily from the whole emotion of it all. After a long pause, the dealership manager zeroed out the invoice and I didn't have to pay anything. This stuff works! These strategies I've shared with you today are from my own personal and professional experiences. I've given them names to make it easier for you to remember and implement in your own lives. How do you think like a negotiator? You start with the things you've learned today. While negotiation may be a term that brings up fear, trembling, and trepidation for a large percentage of people, you now have the tools that will help you in your negotiation to own your power while creating win-win results that are fair and reasonable by preparing in advance, looking the part, and using the power of the pause to stop talking. And with that, I will now stop talking and remind you to always think like a negotiator.